4 steps that actually help you to defeat lust. Step 1. Reset your dopamine baseline. Before you can defeat lust, you need to understand why it's winning, because most people think lust is a desire problem, but in reality, they're struggling with a brain that has been hijacked by constant stimulation. Think about your average day. The moment you wake up, you reach for your phone, you scroll, you consume, you feed your brain hit after hit of cheap dopamine. And the more stimulation you consume, the less satisfaction you get from anything real. That's exactly why your brain starts treating normal life as boring. And when normal life feels boring, lust becomes almost impossible to resist. That's why it feels so powerful. Not because it's stronger than you, but because you've trained your brain to crave intensity over reality. And nothing feels more intense than instant gratification. That's why the first step isn't fighting lust. The first step is starving the dopamine addiction that feeds it. Here's how you do it. For the next 7 days, eliminate every source of cheap dopamine. Social media, mindless scrolling, binge watching, anything that gives your brain instant rewards for doing nothing. Because the moment you stop giving your brain cheap pleasure, your brain slowly returns to its natural baseline. Normal things start feeling meaningful again, and lust loses the overstimulated environment it needs to survive. So cut it all, no exceptions, no negotiations, because this isn't just a detox, it's a declaration of war against everything that's keeping you weak. Step 2, control your input. Most people don't even realize they're filling their minds with the very thing they're trying to escape. Their feeds are full of half-naked influencers, sexualized reels, suggestive thumbnails, and endless triggers disguised as entertainment. And then they wonder why the urges keep coming back. But how could they not? You can't spend hours feeding your mind temptation and expect peace when you're alone. You can't train your attention to chase distractions and expect discipline to suddenly appear when you need it most. Every image you entertain, every trigger you ignore, every temptation you keep around leaves a mark. And over time, those marks become habits. Those habits become desires. And those desires become the very thing you're trying to escape. That's why controlling your input isn't about restriction. It's about self-respect. So learn to protect your attention, clean your feed, unfollow triggering accounts. The moment a trigger appears, train yourself to look away immediately, because what you see shapes what you think shapes how you feel, and how you feel shapes how you act. So if you want to change your actions, stop inviting temptation into your mind. This isn't about weakness, it's about being smart, because every temptation you remove today is a battle you never have to fight tomorrow. Step 3. Master the urge. The moment an urge appears, most people make the same mistake. They panic, they feel uncomfortable, they start negotiating. Just one look, just this once, just for a minute. And that negotiation is exactly where most people lose, because negotiation is surrender disguised as thinking. The real danger isn't the urge itself, it's the habit of obeying it every time it appears. That's why the goal isn't to fight every urge. The goal is to stop obeying it. Here's how you do it. The moment an urge appears, move immediately. Stand up, wash your face, go outside, do 20 push-ups, call someone, anything that breaks the pattern, because any urge you feel doesn't last forever. It rises, it peaks, and if you refuse to feed it, it passes. So the next time an urge appears, move before your mind has a chance to negotiate, because hesitation feeds temptation. Action kills negotiation. Step 4. Replace emptiness with purpose. Most relapses don't happen because of strong urges. They happen because of emptiness. You're alone at home, nothing to do, and suddenly your mind starts looking for an escape. Not because you're overwhelmed by desire, but because your attention has nowhere meaningful to go. Think about it. The urge rarely appears when you're obsessed with a goal, building a skill, or chasing something meaningful. It shows up when there's nothing to chase, nothing to build, nothing to become. That's why the goal isn't just to eliminate emptiness. The goal is replacing it with something that pulls your attention toward progress instead of escape. Because if you don't give it a purpose, it will find a pleasure. If you don't give it a mission, it will create an escape. So give it a reason, a goal, an obsession, a skill, anything that makes your future more exciting than your escapes. Because in the end, lust was never the thing holding you back. It was the emptiness that made distraction feel like relief. And once you understand that, everything starts to change. Because every urge you resist, every distraction you reject, every day you choose growth over escape, you're not just changing your behavior, you're becoming someone new. And eventually that character becomes your identity. The goal was never to stop lust. The goal was to become the kind of man who no longer needs it. So if you're ready to break the cycle and take control of your life, comment day 1 and subscribe to the Inspire Path for more videos that help you build discipline, purpose, and a stronger mind.